Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got a McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse review for you. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the DC Multiverse Superman Red Son. So as we always do, let's go ahead and take a look at that packaging. And right up the top you have those 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys ages 12 plus. You've got your window panel there, DC Multiverse Superman. Over here on this side, DC Multiverse Superman McFarlane Toys. On the back, you have Superman Red Son. Each figure comes with a collectible trading card. And then you have this Soviet-era style propaganda poster, which is really cool. Coming down here, collect them all. You have to, comrade. And then down here you have the McFarlane Toys contact information. Over here, Superman Red Son. On the bottom, a little bit of manufacturing information. And on the top, a whole lot of nothing. So that is it for the packaging. Let's go ahead and see what came inside that box. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came inside that box, and well, frankly it's not a lot, but this is kind of par for the course for Superman action figures. I mean, he is the weapon, so what more do you expect, right? But he did come with a couple of things, and we're going to take a look at him, and we'll start over here with his bio card, and start on this side, and there is that Soviet-era style propaganda poster kind of look, which is really cool. So it shows him standing on top of that hammer and sickle, looking off in the distance, all Soviet heroically. And on the back, you have Superman, Red Son, and then the data file. And I'll hold this still for those of you who want to pause it and read it. All right. And moving on to the final accessory, which is actually a really cool one. I'm really digging this flight stand that came with him. So it is a clear plastic. Doesn't quite completely blend in, but it does look really nice on the shelf when you've got this guy up flying in a pose. So you do have some degrees of freedom here with this. So you can angle that how you want. You can squeeze this in, squeeze it out. They're independent. And everything else down here is fixed, but you do get the DC logo, which is really cool. And then you do have the little peg there if you want to have him standing instead of flying. So yeah, not a whole lot as far as accessories go, but I am really digging that flight stand, so kudos there. Now let's go ahead and get into the details on Mr. Superman himself. And here he is, the son of Krypton himself. In this alternate reality, he lands in the Soviet Union instead of Kansas, and he becomes the Red Son, working for Stalin. So I suppose instead of standing up for truth, justice, and the American way, he stands up for propaganda, the proletariat, and communism. So cool, good for you. Anyway, let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at those details. He even has in this version kind of the Ivan Drago from Rocky IV Soviet-style haircut. So that's it's pretty cool. And that face sculpt, it looks like he's got a slightly bigger Russian-style jaw. And then coming on down, he has the hammer and sickle right there on his chest, and he's got this darker shade of blue. And then coming down to his belt buckle, it is red with those darker underoos. And then coming down to those legs. Good news is, I think no matter where you're born, whether it's Soviet Union or Kansas, the Superman store always has the same boots. So he has the same boots as every other Superman, so that's good. And then coming around to the back, you can see he has that kind of a muted red cape instead of the brighter cape that we see with the traditional Superman. And yeah, he looks good. I mean, from a sculpt work standpoint, this guy looks good. So no complaints there. Articulation is the same as almost every other McFarlane figure. So you've got that head on a ball joint. You can take it pretty much wherever you want. You have this butterfly action in here for the shoulder. So you can bring those arms forward or backward a little bit. And then you can bring them up that far on the shoulder all the way around if you choose to do so. 90 degrees at the elbow. And then you do have bicep rotation right there. Down here at the wrist, you have the ability to bring his wrists out that far, bring them in this far, and then you have that independent rotation, so you can really give him a, if you want to do something like that, like he's walking like an Egyptian or something, since we're talking Soviet Union in 80s. And coming down here to the chest, he does have this point of articulation here, so you can bring that back, you can bring it forward, you can twist it, so he can work on his obliques. And then you have regular waist rotation down here just above the belt. And then for his legs, he can do the splits that far. He can come forward, not very far. He can go backward, not very far. But he does have great deep knee bend because of that double joint. So that helps. And then down here at the feet, you've got these feet are on this joint right here, so you can bring them down that far. You can bring them up that far. You can spin them around. And then it is an independent, so you have a point of rotation right here. And then you also have this point of rotation on the foot itself. So you can get these feet in pretty decent angles just about anywhere you want. And then you do have that toe, the ability to bring those toes up like that if you want to do that. So yeah, details are good. Articulation is good. You can get this guy in just about any pose you want. Common complaint for me with the McFarlane Toys is it would sure be nice if we could get a little bit more movement in those hips. So not necessarily the splits, but maybe a kick forward and a kick back. You know, we could have a little bit more degrees of freedom there to get him in some more dynamic poses. But for the most part, these guys are pretty well articulated, and detail-wise, he looks good, other than he chose the wrong side. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get into comparisons and see how he looks compared to some other figures out there. Hey, real quick, before we get into those comparisons, I did just want to take a moment to show off this flight stand and just, frankly, how good he looks on this flight stand. I think he looks awesome, you know, just floating there, and the fact that that flight stand is clear, you know, it kind of blends in with the background, just adds to that illusion even more. So, yeah, I mean, that was really not much else to say about it, except he looks really good floating there, Superman style, even though he is the Red Son. But we'll forgive him for that this time around. But yeah, he looks great right there. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into those comparisons. All right, everybody, so for our first comparison, here we see the McFarlane Toys Red Son Superman on the left, and on the right we have the Superman that came with the Superman Batman Negative Earth 1 2-pack. So that was the Batman that took the Doomsday virus, ended up looking like Doomsday. So you can see how a couple of McFarlane Toys Supermen look together. And I think this is a pretty cool look, and we can see, you know, the more muted colors over here and the different shape of the cape, which is kind of neat to see those subtle differences. And then, of course, the difference in the face sculpt and the hairstyle. So, yeah, there you go. And here we see the McFarlane Toys Red Son Superman next to a very angry, very red-eyed Lego Superman. So to give you a sense of scale here, what he sizes out compared next to a Lego figure. Next up, here we see the McFarlane Toys Red Son Superman beside a 4-inch General Zod from the Man of Steel movie. Here he is next to Sheriff Woody from Toy Story. And last but not least, here we see the Red Son Superman next to the War for Cybertron Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. And I thought this would be appropriate because, you know, here we have a couple of typically the epitome of goodness and wholesomeness and justice, two characters here who epitomize all of that. And you know, they're placed in these alternate universes where they're just the opposite. So that's why I picked the Shattered Glass Optimus here. I thought it just you know, made sense. These two guys are basically peas in a pod. They're the ultimate good who have been converted to the ultimate not so good. So there you go. Man, it's times like this I really wish I could do a good Ivan Drago impersonation, and I would say something like, "I must break you." But I can't, and that probably sounded more like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anyway, comparisons are done. Let's get into those final thoughts. All right, so let's talk real quick about the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Red Son Superman. in short, I think this is a fun figure. It's cool to see Superman in an alternate universe, particularly in a universe where he landed in the Soviet Union instead of the United States. For those of you who haven't studied up on the Cold War and the Soviet Union and the United States and the conflict, it's actually really fascinating and frankly amazing that we made it out of that era without any type of nuclear conflict. So good stuff there. But it's almost disturbing to see Superman with that hammer and sickle, but also fascinating at the same time. That being said, let's go ahead and just talk about a few of those points. We'll start with the overall aesthetic. I think it's a cool aesthetic. I like the muted colors on this figure. I like what they did with the jawline and with the hair to kind of make him look a little more Russian and a little Ivan Drago-esque, which is a really cool thing that they pulled off there. I like the style of the cape. It kind of pointed instead of just that flat cape that we see with your typical Superman. So yeah, I think this thing looks pretty darn good. And with that flight stand, getting him up in the air like this is definitely how he's going to be on the shelf. No doubt about it. So I think the aesthetic is great. Now, articulation, it's the same articulation as every other McFarlane figure, so you know what you're getting into here. He's got a good range of motion at pretty much every joint that you're going to need. As I stated earlier, it just would have been nice to have a little bit more range of motion in those hips as far as being able to kick the legs forward, kick the legs back, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you're going to get this guy in any position you want to put him in. Accessories, he's Superman. You know, what do you want as far as accessories go there? Superman typically don't come with a lot of accessories. This one in particular came with that really cool flight stand, which I much appreciate. So I think as far as accessories go, yeah, the flight stand works. He's the Man of Steel. He flies through the air, so this helps quite a bit. Overall quality, I don't have any issues with this figure. He came with everything he was supposed to. Everything works the way it's supposed to. Joints are tight. You know, no paint or molding defects on there, at least that I can see. So no issues whatsoever in the overall quality of this guy. And overall value, yeah, I think it's got it. I think that the McFarlane DC Multiverse toys are priced appropriately. I think that they're in a price range where people can pick them up and have a really nice collection and have a lot of playability out of it. So this one in particular, we picked up at a local Walmart for $21 US, which I don't think is bad at all. And it's an easy pill to swallow for a lot of these DC Multiverse McFarlane toys. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up the review. Like I said, I think overall this is a figure that if you collect the other DC Multiverse figures, this is one you're going to want to add to your collection, and it's just a bonus that it comes with a flight stand. So that being said, that's going to wrap the review up. Hope you guys were entertained. I hope you enjoyed the review, got some good information out of it. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button, be sure to subscribe, and leave a comment and let us know what you think. And until we see you guys in the next review, take care.